Hello, I'm Martin Lewis from MoneySavingExpert.com, and I'm afraid to say we've just learnt that your energy bills are going to rise an average 5% from January. So for every £100 a month you pay now, you'll be paying £105 a month on average from January. And this is because Ofgem, the regulator, has announced an increase in the energy price cap. That dictates the price that energy firms can charge for their standing tariff. It dictates the maximum, but let's be honest, all of them do charge the maximum. So it's not really a cap, it's really a fix. It's said these rates are going up because of the increase in wholesale prices, the amount that energy firms have to pay. Well, what I want to do is talk you through why that actually means you're going to pay more for this winter's energy bills than ever before, including last winter's crisis, and what, if anything, you can do about it. So first of all, what's happening? Let me give you the prices on average for direct debit across the UK, but it does depend on which payment mechanism you use and where you are, which region you're in. So these are just to give you an idea what's happening. First of all, electricity. The standing charges, that hideous daily charge that's way too high that everyone has to pay just for having the facility of gas or electricity, the standing charges remain frozen. So for electricity, it's unchanged at 53.37 pence per day. The unit rate is going up from 27.35 pence per kilowatt hour for electricity to 28.62 pence. That is a rise of 4.6%. In gas, again, the standing charge unchanged at 29.6p a day. The unit rate in gas is going up by more. Currently, it's 6.89 pence per kilowatt hour. From January, it's 7.42 pence per kilowatt hour. So that is an increase of 7.6%. So there you go, electricity going up 4.6%, gas going up 7.6%, which means if you're a gas household, then your rise will probably be more than 5% on average. If you're electricity only, it might be slightly less. The other thing that affects this, because it's the unit rates going up, if you're a very high using household, you expect to see what you pay going up again by more than 5%. If you're a very low using household, because the standing charge isn't changing that much, your rise would be less than 5%. But it's all much for muchness. Have a rough 5% figure in your head. So why am I saying, even though those rates are cheaper than last winter, you will pay more? Well, this all comes down to, interestingly, the inflation figures. We have the inflation figure that yesterday's autumn statement was based on of 4.6% for October. And the reason they said it dropped is because energy bills have dropped. But there is a big but here, a baboon but here. Last winter, from October to March, every household received £66 or £67 off their energy bill in state support. That state support is not factored into inflation figures. So they're saying the energy rate dropped. There you go, you paid this last winter, last October, and you're paying this now. It's cheaper. But the fact is, last October, you had £66 taken off your bill. So in practical terms, your bills were less. That 4.6% doesn't include it. So it's a slightly false figure. And it's interesting that a lot of what was being discussed in yesterday's autumn statement was based on that. So let's look at the practical reality, shall you? Last January, the energy rates for a typical household, meaningless, but it's good for illustration, were £198 a month pro rata. Sorry, were £198 a month, that's correct. This January, they're £160 a month, so it's cheaper. But last January, you got that £66. Take that off, and you were paying 132 quid a month from January to March last year on a typical household. This year, you're paying 160 quid a month. And if I seasonally adjusted it, that gap would be even bigger. So this, you're paying, on average, a household is paying 28 quid a month more January to March than they were last year, and possibly in reality, even more than that. So what do you do about it? First of all, is the competition. The Ofgem boss seems to say so in his statement, but I'm a little confused by that because I can only see one tariff out there at the moment it's worth switching to, and that is for existing customers of E.ON Next. It has a discounted tariff that is always an average 3% cheaper than the price cap. So as the price cap drops or goes up, this will drop and go up, but it'll be 3% cheaper. No brainer if you're with E.ON Next. You should switch to get that tariff, that E.ON Next discounted tariff. It's only available for E.ON Next existing customers, but what you could do is you could switch to E.ON Next standard tariff, and then hopefully the new tariff's still there, and then you could switch to the discount tariff once you've switched, but that's a little bit more complicated. As for fixes, well, looking at the predictions from Cornwall Insight, over the next year, on average, it would be worth fixing if you could get a fix at 1% more than the current price cap, so less than the January price cap. Of course, this is based on crystal ball gazing. Those predictions change all the time. And there aren't any fixes out there on the open market you can do that with that don't involve you changing lots of other utilities too that may not be good for you. So, the cheapest open market fix is 4% more than the current price cap. You can see a full list of all deals available in the Should I Fix article on moneysavingexpert.com. So it's quite difficult unless you really want price certainty that I don't know what's going to happen in future. I want to see what I'm going to pay. Then you may as well stick on the price cap right now if those predictions are correct. Other things you should be doing? Well, expect your direct debits to go up. If and when that does happen, make sure you go online. We have a direct debit calculator on moneysavingexpert.com. You can see if your direct debit is fair. They do not always get it right. Make sure you're doing regular meter readings unless you've got a working smart meter. And if they set your direct debit too high, especially if you're heavily in credit, then you have a legal right under Energy Firm's license terms and conditions to make sure your direct debit is fair. Anyway, that's my initial thoughts. The price cap's just been announced. I may have more later. I'll be in my weekly email from moneysavingexpert.com, but I hope this has been useful. Thanks for listening.